Welcome and hello. Welcome to Women of Power with Immense Love. Welcome to this broadcast coming from New Thought Media Network, through the network, this wonderful focus ministry that's doing so many amazing things by bringing programming like this to our lives every single day of the year. My name is Laura Topper, and I'm here really shining the light on women, the divine feminine, and those that identify as women, those that feel the call to look within and to know the truth of this feminine that is here and within us. And it's not always that simple when we're living in a world where we feel that we are still living the remnants of the patriarch and domination, male domination, and that system where there's competition, and we feel that in our lives, in workplaces, in environments. And how do we change that? How do we change that experience for ourselves? Well, there are many ways that we can do it. And I know, and this is for me as a teacher of these truths, is to know that when we look within, when we do the work from within, yes, then we are allowing ourselves to be free, to know the truth of who we are and whose we are, and to live our lives from that place, from the infinite, rather than from the seeming constraints from a world that is based upon others' points of view and opinions. We can choose our own opinions. Yes. This was a revelation for me when I realized, oh, wow, I can think for myself and have my own thoughts and choose what and what not to believe. And this really is the work that's being offered for us. It always has been. And right now we're at a time where we're being opened up, cracked wide open, where we can look within and we can ask the truth. We can see, well, has this been working? Has this been working for my life? Has this been working for our lives? There are so many in pain right now and suffering, so many who are feeling and living through the experience of other people's ideas and beliefs and systems. And sometimes that pain, as an empath, I feel that so deeply in my heart. I feel what others are going through. And sometimes that can really bring us to a place of almost despair. And yet, in that despair, we have a choice. Just in every moment, we have a choice to look within, to know the truth of who we are, to open up to that, even if we can't see that fully for our lives, to open up to it and to ask ourselves some questions and to be open to receiving the answers for our lives. So if you are here and you've landed at the right place at the right time, this is a conversation about empowerment and self-empowerment and what that truly means. And I welcome you in here, I really do. And if there's anything you want to put in the comments, then please do write in here. And I'm opening this up for conversation right now and for a deeper understanding and connection of what it truly means to be a woman of power. What does that actually mean? I was sitting and thinking about this and pondering on it, and then out came 40 or 50 understandings from my heart and from my mind of what it truly means to be a woman of power and how we can use what I'm going to share with you for our own lives. So I've pulled out three pointers, and I'm going to talk about each one. And they're not really in any particular order, although I would say this is a primary pointer or a primary principle. is that as a woman of power, we prioritize self-awareness as the center of personal and spiritual advancement. We prioritize self-awareness. That means that it's not a maybe or a one day, or I'll do it when I've stopped doing this, or when my life falls apart, when everything is feeling so painful, or when I'm not able to communicate properly with those I love, or my partner, my beloved, my child. I'll do it when my bank balance looks better, or I'll do it when I feel healthier, or I'll do it when I've got the work that I really love. Then I'll look within. Right now, just it's okay, leave me alone. Let me just get on with this in this way, in this kind of victimhood. No. This is a priority. Prioritizing means setting time aside each day, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of what's going on, that you make a commitment and a decision to yourself to put this first. And that means putting yourself first, prioritizing self-awareness. And how do we attain this self-awareness? How do we get closer to opening up and understanding our own level of awareness? And that's through meditation, through mindfulness, through meditation, through contemplation, through inner dialogue, through visioning, the practice of visioning, where we open up to the knowing and the intelligence of the divine. And through deepening our own awareness of faith, that this universe is a spiritual system, that we have faith in this spiritual system, and we have faith that this spiritual system is not separate from who we are. It is a part of us. It is us. And so by deepening our self-awareness, we can become aware of who we are, whose we are, and our place in all of this. And understanding and realizing the power that we hold, the power that is running in as and through right now, through everything, is the same power that is me, that is you. We are not separate from it. We're not outside of it. It's not outside of us. It is within us, in the lotus of the heart, as we read, as I read this in the Upanishads, the Hindu text, the ancient scriptures, that this self is within and without. As Ernest Holmes teaches, and many of the spiritual teachers and mystics know and knew, that this divine presence, which is transcendent and immanent, it's in within, and it is the guiding force. And so self-awareness opens us up to being willing to have a deepening practice for ourselves every single day, where we take this seriously, just like as if we would have a routine for brushing our teeth, or cleaning our bodies, or washing our face, or taking makeup off, whatever it is, putting makeup on, not having any makeup, whatever the routines are, the way we feed our bodies and nourish our bodies with the foods that we eat. Self-awareness is a nourishment, and it really isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. So I believe that as a woman of power, as women of power, and this is for men too, I mean, this is non-gender, we can each grab onto these concepts, that we place self-awareness as a priority for our spiritual ascension, for a deepening of knowing who we are and whose we are. As we do this, what happens is that we get the idea that we're not living then from the world of effect. We're living from the cause, or as the cause. And the world of effect becomes less and less a place where we make our decisions from, because then we are opening to the infinite as the infinite, making our choices from the infinite. As I know that, in God, all is possible. So as we make our choices from that place, rather than from the effect of the thoughts that we've had days ago, months ago, years ago, and that we're outliving now and out picturing in our lives. So when we take charge, we come back to that place of knowing who we are. We expand ourselves, our awareness and our consciousness, and we live from the infinite. And this really takes a practice, because it's having faith, it's taking that leap of faith, taking a leap of faith to know that when we make a choice from the infinite and not from the effect, because our reactive, responsive way wants to change things here in the world to seemingly make our lives better without actually making a change from within. And so it looks like we're changing things, and yet what we're really doing is just reshuffling the evidence rather than renewing our minds, so that we don't have to put the effort and the energy into reshuffling the evidence. It dissipates, things dissolve and evaporate as we turn our awareness away and place our awareness within. Let's take a breath. And I'll give you an example of this. Recently we've moved home, and it's been an incredible move, really, on so many levels. And I'd imagined this move for a long time. And I decided not to try and make anything happen for this move to happen, not to try and look for a new place or try and manipulate circumstances so that this move would happen. And I made one phone call 6 months ago and just let it be. And from that one phone call, a series of circumstances was happening for this move to happen that I wasn't even aware of. My focus wasn't on that, trying to change my external circumstance. I was really focused on prioritizing my own awareness of who I am and whose I am, letting go of old beliefs, dissolving old ways of being, looking at the structures of programming and patterning that were in my mind, and deciding and choosing to step away from allowing that programming to run the way that I live my life. And as I was doing that and focusing upon spiritual principles, spiritual practice, self-awareness, up-leveling and uplifting and expanding in my knowing of who I am, I was focusing upon that. And then one day I received a call to say, do you remember? Do you remember you were inquiring about a home? Well, there is a home and you can have it. It's available. Come along, come and look at it, and you can move in. And we came and we looked and we said yes. And they said, okay, it will be 3 weeks before you can move in. And we said, okay. And then we left. And then an hour later, we had a phone call and they said, actually, you can move in 3 days because this situation is happening and you can move in immediately. Is that okay with you? Yes. And here we are. And it was one of the simplest demonstrations, although it took time, okay, because it didn't happen on my time. I completely stepped away from any kind of manipulating or trying to make anything happen. So I allowed it to be, knowing that a certain scenarios had to, overlap or resolve themselves or dissolve for this to happen. So this was on God's time, because I was focusing on my own self-awareness, not on how to make something happen. I was working upon me. Now, does that make me selfish to work upon me? Let's see, we have some comments here. Thank you for joining. It's great to be with you. Christine, great to be here with you today, joining from Kenya. Welcome, joining from Kenya. Beautiful. Yes. Demonstration was perfect. And this is what happens when we allow and we do our own internal work. There's nothing to be moved or changed. Okay, we know as women of power that we set and state what it is in motion, that the creative law is continually working. There's nothing for us to do to make that happen. That's happening. So what we're changing is within ourselves, so that we meet the mental equivalent of what it is that we are choosing at that time. And if you're not sure what mental equivalent means, it's almost like it's a set point that we have. We have a set point. It's kind of like there because that's what we've believed all of our lives. That's what we've picked up from the messaging, from the consciousness, the subjective consciousness, the mass consciousness, and we choose our set point depending on what feels comfortable for us and what we have been willingly programming ourselves with. And sometimes in our conscious mind, we'll fight against that set point, that mental equivalent, and we'll affirm for things that we really truly want for our lives. And yet, why is it that we don't reach those things, or those things don't come into our lives? And then we feel that we're a failure because we haven't achieved, or we're not successful enough, or we're not accepted by our peers or by ourselves or by society. And this is all going on really in the subconscious mind, where we habitualize ourselves and we live into the set point that we have subconsciously chosen for our lives. And so it's not a conscious choice. And then we beat ourselves up. We give ourselves a hard time thinking that we're not good enough because we're not achieving enough. This is not a woman of power. This is coming from a place of victim, where we're not allowing ourselves to love ourselves fully for who we are and doing the work within to prioritize our understanding of who we are and whose we are, our own self-awareness. Becoming more aware of the thoughts that we're thinking, stepping back, and rather than judging them, observing them. Becoming aware of who we choose to blame in certain situations. And rather than judging that, observing it. Because from that place, we can do something about it. So we have this set point, which Ernest Holmes calls a mental equivalent. And the great thing about a mental equivalent, for whatever it is that we're holding, is that that can be changed. And so the work, or the unraveling really, is to start to look at what our thoughts are, what our beliefs are, and to even come away from holding set opinions and beliefs. and allowing ourselves to live from that place of, oh, that's interesting. Because when we're coming from that place, we're not putting ourselves, or we're not putting or placing a judgment on our own lives. We're observing it. We're observing the experience as the experiencer. We're seeing it without trying to make it better or different, so that we have that kind of adrenaline hit of our life is better or different. And when we come from that place, that's like a total stepping away from any form of wanting or trying to make it happen. And that's when it happens, because we've let go of the need. If you have any questions or any comments, please put them in here. This is the Women of Power Hour. I may not be here for a full hour today. I'm talking about what it means to be a woman of power, what it truly means, and the work, or what is commanded and demanded of us to do for our lives. Because I, like you, have a massive dream and vision that I choose to see fulfilled in my lifetime, and I'm sure you do too. And I believe that we are at a time when we're being called to see life differently, to behave differently within life, to interact differently, to have a different understanding of who we are, and to create these wonderful boundaries so that we can get on with it, get on with this vision, and feel absolutely supported within ourselves. Because there will be challenges, there will be obstacles, there will be places for growth along the way. And so if this is in place, this prioritizing of self-awareness, then we have this grounded foundation with which to work from, with which to be from. Prioritizing self-awareness at the center of everything. 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 I'm going to take a little breather here, and I'm just going to, I was just going to play something, but I don't have anything on here, but I just wanted to talk for a moment about my dear friend, Lindsay Lineback. She has a show here on Fridays, Practicing Infinite Possibilities. And this is really exciting. Her show is really exciting because it is all about how the brain works and how we process things and can use mindfulness for our lives. And I think she talks a lot about, being aware and breathing and knowing that we have a choice. And the key for me is to actually practice self-awareness every single day, to make it a part of our routine. Who's willing to put that into practice? Are we willing to do this for our own lives? Yes, we are. We absolutely are. So let's move through to a woman of power is not defined by circumstance or environment. This is one that will test us, it will push us, it will absolutely give us opportunity for knowing our resilience and our resourcefulness. To live moment by moment, holding on to the vision, holding the vision in your heart of what it is that you know you're dreaming of and certain of that this is yours to do and who you are, and yours to be and who you are. This vision that just is there the whole time for your life, in your mind and in your heart. It pulls you, as Michael Beckwith talks about. We're being pulled, we're pushed until we're pulled. We're pushed by spirit until we're pulled by our soul. And we will go through many experiences that feel crappy, many experiences that feel challenging, many experiences that feel, this isn't what I asked for, this isn't what I want. Women of power are not defined by circumstance or environment. We know that there is an adventure and that we are creating the journey and the path as we step by step by step, with the intention that we set and the attention that we place onto our thoughts and our words. And the circumstance, the environment, is the outpicturing of the old story. On the Cosmic Prayer 2 weeks ago, Reverend Dr. Peggy Hostetler came on, and she talked about when we say and do our spiritual mind treatment, and we're affirming for something to happen, for a demonstration to take place, everything unlike that demonstration that we're seeking will show up for healing. And we talked about this. I talked about it with her. You can go back and look at the Cosmic Prayer on the YouTube channel. Everything unlike what it is that we're seeking to demonstrate will show up for healing. That does not mean that what we desire is not coming through. It means that there's work to be done around that to bring that through so that we can evolve into who we need to become, so that we can see, witness, experience, perceive what it is that we are seeking for demonstration. There's work to be done. And when I was 20 years ago, when I was living in a Buddhist temple in Thailand, Koh Phangan, and it was beautiful there. And I was there for a few weeks, and the gardens were amazing. And I had so much time in the gardens, so beautiful. And they would put these little things in the garden, in the pathways. They were like little sticks with messages on them, and they would change them all the time. It's like, okay. They would change the messages. And then one day I was walking along the path, and nothing's a coincidence. I think I was on my way to lunch, and one of the pegs with one of the messages there that I read as I walked past it said, "There's no such thing as a free lunch." Oh. And I just thought, oh, that's interesting that would be here. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Does that mean that with everything that I desire, I have to pay a price for it somehow? I couldn't quite conceptualize it. And now I see that, and I believe that when we want something, or we desire something for our lives, an embetterment, or to feel something demonstrated that's different for our lives, there's a change to be made. There's a change to be made in the way that we see ourselves, that we know ourselves. There's a change to be made in the way that we outlive old beliefs, dissolve old ideas. There's work to be done. So this is what Reverend Peggy was talking about on that Cosmic Prayer. We were talking about that these weeds will come up for healing. And they're not to be dismissed, because these are the pieces that are going to grow us so that we are better equipped to handle situations that come along that are going to test us and challenge us with the vision. We have to be absolutely able and capable of holding this vision in reality as materialized reality. We have to be firm within ourselves so that we have grown enough to be able to manage it. Because if we can't manage it, then it will just dissolve and dissipate and come out of our experience again. And we wonder why. That's why when we know about, I hear and of people that win the lottery or that have great amounts of money coming into their lives. That's happened for me. Great amounts of money coming in and through. And then there's that, where is it? What's happened? Because I was not able to hold that space at that time. I was not able to manage it. I was not able to become or be the becoming of that, of the vibration of what it needs and what it means to hold that. So along with the vision comes everything unlike itself that wants to be healed, that's been calling to be healed and revealed, so that we grow, we forgive, we allow the new to come through without it being pulled back by the weeds. We uproot these weeds lovingly. We do the work, the beliefs, the healing, forgiveness, acceptance, grief work, all of it. Lay it all out, timeline work, get it all done. Be brave with it and courageous in your heart. All the time, not judging the circumstance or the environment. Again, it comes back to that first point, the key one here of a woman of power prioritizes self-awareness at the center of personal and spiritual development and advancement. And this is why, because when we're building this muscle and we're doing the work and we're strengthening ourselves in the right way, in the correct way, then that means that when we are in the environment, that we don't particularly like or doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel easy, doesn't feel good enough, doesn't feel fair, doesn't feel loving, we're so well practiced with our own level of self-awareness that this is not where we're placing our attention, not on this, not on the environment or the circumstance. We come back to source within. We come back to that knowing of who we are, and we practice a deepening of love for the self, self-love. That is not loving the self as in the physical. This is the spiritual, the God essence, the ineffable that is within and without and everywhere. And so then we fall in love with the environment. We look for good. We see it all as God expressing. We see that this too is God expressing, and that we are made of more than we think we are, and that we have the resilience and the resourcefulness, because there's a big dream and a big vision that wants to come through. And so we have to grow into it and grow through it and allow it to be held by our strength and our willingness to delve within and do the work. Ooh, this is women of power stuff. This is what we do. This is what you do. This is who you are as a woman of power. And so far, the guests that have been on this program have been incredible role models of this. And there will be more coming on and coming through. And for today, I just wanted to be here and to just settle into this of my idea of what it really truly means to embody this beingness of a woman of power. So we're not defined by circumstance or environment. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to love everything to the degree where we're accepting it and not expecting anything different or better. It means we are acknowledging it and saying, there is different here. There is something better here. There is something more here. And yet for now, this is where I am, and I'm just working through this within myself, and I have the tools to work through it. And if you don't have the tools, then that's where you reach out. You reach out to a prayer partner. You reach out to a practitioner. You find a coach. You call me, come into the Women of Power Alliance. You find a support group. We're not here to be doing this on our own. We're here to find those others that we resonate with and to build that trust and work through these things together. To get the assistance and the guidance is really, really important, to be in community. We're not alone here. We're not alone. And I have discovered through many years of that when you do open your heart and you're in community, that I realized that for myself, I speak for me here, that I realized that we're all going through the same stuff in different ways. Funny that, isn't it? We're all going through the same stuff, coping in different ways. And some of us have clearer coping mechanisms. Some of us don't have clearer coping mechanisms, depending on what it is. And so we find those others that we can lean into to be that support for us in those moments. That's what the Women of Power Alliance is all about. Yes, hello, Wayne. Good evening, good day to you. Welcome here. Welcome here, and it's great to be here with you and that you're tuning into this broadcast today. I'm just checking to see what the time is here. Oh, we got another 10 minutes or so. So this is what the Women of Power Alliance is all about. It's a collective. It's women together, sharing and knowing and being honest and truthful and saying, yes, this is where I find it hard. This is where it's challenging for me. And I'm so just grateful for the women that are showing up. I'm so grateful because it's a place to be where we can share in an authentic way and feel loved and safe to do so. And this is so important, that if we can't find that love within ourselves, that we create that in community with others. And then we lean into that love. Because it can be at times where we think, oh my gosh, am I able to cope with this? Am I able to cope with what it is that I'm being presented with here in this situation? And it is not a definition, the environment and the circumstances is not a definition of whether you are good enough, whether you're strong enough, whether you're more than enough, whether you're successful enough, creative enough, rich enough, healthy enough, vibrant enough. No, we're not defined by that, because the circumstance and the environment are changeable. What isn't changeable is spirit within, God. God everywhere. God in here, in your heart right now. That's unchangeable. So we turn within in those moments where we are in doubt or feel the lack and limitation to know who and whose we are. Then we are coming away from the idea of separation, that we're not separate from any of it, because this seed of God that is planted in my heart, is planted in your heart, is seated in each and every one of our hearts. So we're not separate from any of it. We are one as one in the one, doing one thing, and that is experiencing life as God experiences life in, as, and through us. As God is the eyes that you are, as God is the hands that you are, as God is the ears and the hearing that you are, is God is the five senses that you are, that each of us are. So we turn away from the circumstance and the environment, not that we're denying that it's here, it's real. We are not idealistic. We acknowledge that it exists. Of course it exists. We can touch it and feel it and smell it. It's here. And yet we're not putting our focus upon it, because that will just grow it, that will just expand it, and that will just piss us off. So we're putting our focus on the within, on what is here within us right now, who we are, and how we use that spiritual maturity and evolvement to get through these situations, just like I did when wanting to move. Rather than blaming and shaming the circumstance on myself, I focused on my own spiritual journey, my own spiritual evolution, my own spiritual work, my self-awareness. I prioritized self-awareness as the center of personal and spiritual development. So my question to you is, are you? Is this what you are doing? And if you are, how can you evolve with this and change it and step it up? And if you're not, what is the payoff for not doing it? Who are you keeping vibrationally? Who are you keeping happy by not tuning into yourself fully and by not doing the work that is necessary for your own expansion and evolution? What is the payoff for not fully living? And when you answer these kind of questions, you can go even deeper and do the forgiveness work and let go of the idea that you're not worthy, or that you're not deserving, or that it doesn't matter anyway, when you know deep down, deep within, that it does matter. So do it. Meditate, tune within, practice spiritual mind treatment more regularly, visualize, contemplate, journal, all of these wonderful tools that we have to open our hearts to becoming the observer of our lives and taking away the judgment and the blame and the shame, and living our lives as women of power, holding this vision high in our lives, holding it high and living into it, and courageously asking for these healings to come along, asking for the situations to come along so that we can open up and embetter ourselves, so that we're more fully prepared for what it is that we're choosing. So we're not running and hiding, we're facing it full on and saying, yeah, okay, here I am. Here I am. What is it? I am getting through this right now. And that's a whole different way of being. It's a whole different vibration. And with that, we get to open up to knowing who we are and knowing how powerful we are, because we're not holding ourselves back or accountable. We are looking at life and saying, I'm here and I know that God is here through me, and I trust and I have faith. And that goes back to what I said at the very, very beginning. Do we have faith in the knowing that This is a spiritual idea. This universe is a spiritual idea. And that God is here within each of us as the faith, as the love. That God is here loving us, seeking to express itself fully and know itself through each of us. So let's show God who we are as women of power. Let's do that. Let's do this. This is important. This is important for each of us right now, because we each have a vision. We each have a calling. We each know why we're here. You're here watching this right now. I bless you. And you're here because you know that there's something so dynamic that you're being called to bring forth into this life. And if you want to put that into the comments, then I'd love to know what that is. You're here because you know it's not just about you right now. It's about all of us and being a part of this unifying, this collective to lift ourselves and each other and humanity in and through to the new paradigm which we're in right now, and supporting ourselves through that. And it's not comfortable, it's not easy, and it's not pretty at all. And yet there is a way, and this way is love. This way is God. This way is the divine. This way is the divine feminine, where we're not trying to compete with each other. We are collaborating, we're joining. And the first collaboration that we're being called to collaborate on is with who we are, and to release the idea that we're separate from anything. So it's a unifying. We're just unifying, knowing that this God, this self that is the seed, that is the lotus flower within my heart, is the lotus flower opening within your heart, is the lotus flower opening within each of our hearts. And this lotus flower is this divine cosmic presence and power that's beyond anything that we can see or know with our minds, our finite minds. God. And I talk like this because I know this truth from my own direct experience. And if I wouldn't have had that direct experience, then I would be have done all the research and the studies that I've done for so long, and maybe had an experience in other ways of God. So I talk like this because I know it for myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak of this with you. So when we're open to receiving and accepting God within us and claiming it and knowing it and experiencing it, then we can live from that place, from the place of the infinite. People around us will think we're a little bit, and yet we know the truth. We know the truth. So one way to get to this direct experience is to meditate, to contemplate, to go within, to spend time within, to, yes, practice self-awareness as the center for personal and spiritual development. Making that claim and making that promise to ourselves right now, and living into that daily. And if we skip a day, not to feel, bad about it, just to know that this is the intention, set the intention for your life. This is what being a woman of power is all about. Taking charge right now, because there's only now. I bless you. I love you, and I am humbled to be here and grateful to be here in your presence. If there's anything you want to leave in the comments, please do. I know that here on New Thought Media Network, so many amazing programs come out every single day. And today, in a couple of minutes, we have New Thought Today. with Reverend Robert Brzezinski and Reverend Elzia. So stay on the network to listen to more of this, because the more that we listen and the more that we embody these teachings into our hearts, the more that we open up to receiving these direct experiences. And self-awareness is a part of this. Making a truce within yourself to live a better life, to live a different life, starts from within. It begins within, always, in all ways. And that is it for today. Yes, light workers absolutely unite. Thank you, Wayne. Of course they do. We unite all the time. And even if we're not uniting, we're here holding out that candle, holding the light for those that can't quite yet see it or know it within themselves. Thank you, Wayne, for saying that. That's so true. And I'm going to just pop up my website here, because with that, you're going to see, or lauratopper.com. Where is it? Have I got it here? lauratopper.com. And you can join and discover the Women of Power Alliance. We meet every single week, and we share these truths, lift ourselves and each other. And it's an amazing opportunity to reveal, and demonstrate and reveal and demonstrate and be held safely. That's so important, isn't it? To be held. So I'm leaving you here with this question of, what is it for you? What are you actually committing to right now in terms of your spiritual practice, your self-awareness, and turning from the condition, not ignoring it, not denying it, just where are you placing your attention and your intention? Observe yourself, observe your thoughts, observe what's going on in your mind, journal it, and do the forgiveness work around those areas where blame and judgment come up, and come from that clean slate place as much as possible. And you'll see, as you start doing this, your whole life will change, your whole world will change, because you're taking then full responsibility for everything within you, and that will ripple out and change your external environment instantly, just as mine has by being here. What a blessing. So grateful to be here. And I'll be back next week with Reverend Kathy Mastrani at this time with Wisdom of the Mystics. And this show, Women of Power, will be back the week after next with a special guest coming in to talk about their idea of being a woman of power. Until then, have an amazing day. Have a blessed day. Allow your heart to be filled and overflowing with love and with joy and with light. And know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever it is that you are doing right now in this moment, you can make a choice to make a change, to do something differently, to empower yourself, and to be that woman, truly that woman of power that you are.